In this short demonstration, I'll show you how to create a table of values displaying commission and earnings. This is question 2. Steve works in retail selling computers. His monthly salary is $4,000 plus 8% commission. Create a table of values to show his monthly earnings from $0 to $12,000 in steps of 3,000. Graph his sales versus his earnings. Just so that you understand here, Steve is earning $4,000 regardless of any sales he makes. We want to see how much he will earn in total if he makes up to $12,000 in sales in steps of 3,000. The first thing that I'll do is create a table, and this is how your table should look like. If you've set up your table correctly, it should look something like this. If he sells nothing that month and his commission is 8%, 0 times 0.08, remember 8%, represented as a decimal is 0.08. Multiplying this by 0 gives you nothing in commission, but you still earn $4,000. Next, if he sells $3,000, we'll take 3,000 and multiply it by 0.08, and he ends up with $240 in commission. That leads him to a total of $4,240. Let's try 6,000. 6,000 times 0.08, that's 480, essentially doubling what we had earlier. And this gives us 4,480. At 9,000, and I'm starting to see a pattern here, we have 720, which is another 240 added, and we end up with 4,720. Lastly, when $12,000 worth of merchandise is sold, we add another 240 to this, and this leads us to 960. Adding that to 4,000, we end up with 4,960. Once you have set up your table, you want to create a graph, and the graph needs to represent sales versus his total earnings. Here's how to set up a graph. The first thing that I've done is converted my paper into graph paper. In addition, I've created an L that will represent my independent variable and my dependent variable. So let's determine what the independent and dependent variables are. Well, we know that his total earnings depends on the amount of sales that he makes. So this right here is your dependent variable, and the dependent variable goes on the y-axis. The sales, on the other hand, are the independent variable because this doesn't depend on anything. Given that, this will represent our x-axis. So let's write that in. We have our sales down here, and that's in dollars. Don't forget to add your units. And over here we have total earnings. And our title will be sales versus total earnings. Next, what we want to do is put in our intervals. We'll start from 0 and 0, and you should always start at 0 and 0. And every 3 blocks will be $3,000. So that's 3,000. That's 6,000. This right here will be 9,000. And this will be 12,000. Now, because our total earnings start at 4,000 and they don't start at 0 like the sales do, what you want to do is add a break at the beginning just to signify that there are numbers that are not being accounted for. And immediately after the break, you can start with 4,000. So this right here will be 4,000. This will be 4,240. Now that we've set up our graph, we can plot the points. The first point was 0 and 4,000. The next point was 3,000 and 4,240. Your last step is to connect these points with a straight line. And there you have it. That right there represents the graph that represents this table. And that is how to create a table of values displaying commission and earnings.